Do you? Yeah, perfect. Okay, we're gonna call the I'm gonna call the January 22nd, 2025 executive NCAC executive board meeting to order today. Uh, so welcome everybody. I I didn't send it to everybody. Randall and Nancy, I sent an email yesterday, I think, and I've got a timeline that's changed for me today, so I need to leave at 4:30. So maybe we can get through to the end of the agenda by 4:30 today, hopefully.
Okay.
So conflict of interest question. I have no conflicts with anything on the agenda today.
Nor do I.
Okay.
Conflicts either.
I
Okay.
have no conflicts.
No conflicts.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Next item is, I guess, 2 meeting minutes, I believe. Is that right, Gary? The November
Yeah.
20,
But,
okay,
you want to start with November or December?
sure. Let's do the November.
Okay.
I looked at them, they look fine to me.
Let's see. Everybody see that okay? I've got
Yeah,
a ultra widescreen monitor, so I'm not sure how well it translates over.
it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just let me know if I need to scroll through to the bottom of the minutes or not.
Ready?
I think you can.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I did get some feedback from Chris for both of these, so thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, I think looks good.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay.
So without objection, we'll approve the minutes of the November 20th executive committee meeting. No
Yeah.
objection? Okay, those are approved. Let's go on to the December 18th meeting minutes, Gary. Are these the 18th, Gary, or?
Yeah, is it
I'm looking at it. It says next meeting is the
okay, maybe
18th.
hang on a second. Let me see if I can grab the other page.
There it is. Okay.
I don't know why I can't see mine. Okay, there we go. Can you see that one,
Okay.
Art?
Yeah.
Sometimes they hide, it seems like. Like
Yeah.
look for that border. Trouble with that.
Yeah, that was a problem. I couldn't. There's like a little green border around it.
Yeah. Yeah, they take some getting used to. I think it looks great. I have one little thing that it was one of our Bill Miller on our bylaws committee last year said that it should be chairperson when they're actually in office, and chair would be chairing a meeting. So, but it's not worth changing. But we went ahead and made the positions chairperson
Chairperson.
and vice chairperson as opposed to committee chairperson. But
Yeah.
don't worry about it. And I want to thank you for working so hard to have the links to the folders instead of just to the agendas for our committee meetings.
Yeah, so I think I don't know if it was the case in the previous ones. Maybe that link that you had sent, I probably didn't check it in some of the previous emails, and so that you might have been accidentally sending just the link to the agenda, and we were just blindly popping it up there. So I went and double checked this last time and I thought, oh, that's not the full folder.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, and I appreciate your emailing me about that. And so I'm not sure what the problem was, but I will test it before I send it to you next time.
Okay, so without objection, we'll approve the minutes of the December 18th meeting. Any objections to that?
No objections.
No,
No,
All right, thank you. Those are approved. Moving on, we've got the subcommittee, bylaws subcommittee check-in, Nancy.
okay. I'll be fairly brief. We've been kind of working hard on all of the policies, procedures, and references. Try to get the term correctly this time. And kind of moving along. We're not ready yet to present anything concrete at the February general meeting, but we would like to start working on feedback sessions, probably starting in March, possibly even the end of February. So Ran, we wanted to talk with you to make sure that we're not getting in your way. I think your committees, subcommittees activities are really important. So I don't know if maybe you and I can talk offline sometime about our mutual schedules of feedback sessions, so we're not inundating people too much, but we wanted to hold those before we actually approve the new policies and procedures, which would probably be toward the end of the fiscal year here. So we may need to have another special meeting like we did for the bylaws, even though we're not seeing the same kind of interest as we were with the bylaws. When we actually get into some of these things that we're writing that are more detailed, it might be that people will want to, even if it's a few people that show up, that they're going to want to talk about. So we might want to set a date for tentatively for May, like we did last year. That would be a normal general meeting time, like a Saturday, whenever, I guess, in like we did last time.
Okay,
So, but we don't want to get in the way of the community plan subcommittee either. So I don't know, when we get to your report, Rand, maybe we'll have a better feel for where you are in terms of engaging the community.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
still feeling our way to be ready
yeah,
for
yeah,
the meeting with the public.
yeah. So we're moving along, but it's, and certainly when we get to the point where we're affecting officers, we'll get to you guys too and give you a full opportunity to be able to participate. And Mark, we really appreciate your participating in so many of these meetings. Please don't feel like you need to, but it has, as you have seen, it's really been handy to have
Yeah.
you there to bounce things off of. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been great.
yeah, it's been fun.
So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. So Ran, next is a community plan update.
Update.
Yeah.
Okay, so that long name committee that I'm chair of has been somewhat well, I think we've gotten it off the ground with Sarah about what middle housing is and what we can do about middle housing. It's the big focus right now because it's a law and we don't really have a lot of options to affect that law. We've focused down on some standards that would apply to the larger, like triplex, quadplex, and cottage clusters. So those things are limited to like the square footage, a single story, height of 14 to 18 feet. It's still not clear which one of those it is. And then what happens in the village and what happens across the highway to the east of the village and Hills of Nesco and things are. So what Sarah has done is helped us narrow down where the existing properties that are developable are, what to hazard zones are along the waterfront that shrink those lots and make them not really possible for anything larger than a duplex. And so when we present to the public, we can hopefully not have them panic because we've provided the information in a clear number of places where the impacts of this might occur. And then as we describe to them the housing types and the cottage cluster concept, we're hoping that by characterizing those and with the limits that we have on them, that they'll see that those could be a really nice opportunity rather than a threatening big development on very small lots. So it's been a real focus. One of the things that we're saying is that we will publish what we understand what Nesquin wants, and the county may just send back something that says, you know, 2 of these things are going to fly with the comprehensive plan. The other ones are not going to happen. And that's true currently of the community plan. There are a lot of aspirational things that are in there that the county says never going to happen, but they do describe what Nesquin says it would like applied in its community. So it's an interesting thing. You finding out what you can do and what you may do that won't really affect housing options, but you kind of do what you can where you can, and that's what we will try to articulate to the community. And some of these specific details will outline for them so they understand what the choice of the matter is. So in general, we're hoping to prepare for public meetings by March. I'll be gone for the next 2 meetings, so they'll probably get a lot of stuff done while I'm gone. And I'll come back to them being totally prepared for public meetings. But that also is aspirational. We if we can get it clear enough, and Sarah feels like we're prepared for a public meeting and how to present things, we will do that. But it might be March, it may be April. So we don't want to do it if we're not fully prepared to explain everything. So that will the extent of our understanding will be the determiner as to whether we're ready for the public meetings or not. So that's not a very clear picture, Nancy. But I think that you could say that we'll both be looking to understand when public meetings could begin, and we'll coordinate that with you so that we have a good rhythm, and it it conjures what both subcommittees need to get public buy-in.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll just have to try and coordinate those so that yeah, we'll coordinate those, Randall, and the bylaws and the community plan so that the community doesn't get inundated with too many meetings about
Right.
stuff. But yeah, I think that'll be fine. We'll work that out. I did talk to well, is that it, Rand, for you for
That's the gist of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, I
Okay.
think, all we need to know at this point. And if you have
Okay.
any questions, I'm open to those. But
Yeah,
the outline is that Measure 59, if you're familiar with what that is, was a takings thing that was passed as a measure, ballot measure. And it said that if you change a land use, that someone has the opportunity to do something and then you take that away from them, that you have to compensate them for the loss of that activity so that compensation has to be sorted out, and it's a lawsuit, and the county can't afford to do that. They got nailed by the STR thing. Now they're caught up in the FEMA thing. They're in no position to start going to court over things, that we would take a way, if we wanted to say we don't want to have farm and forest activities in our village, they'd say, well, that would constitute a taking, so we're not gonna allow that to be something that happens in your village. So it's a huge limitation on saying what you want. And it's kind of put a lid on a number of things that we think would make things better, but it's not an option.
Yeah.
But I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rand. So the FEMA, the next item is the FEMA update from the CAC meeting. So we did meet this week. The chairs we met with Sarah on Monday, and we really didn't talk that much about the FEMA issue. I don't think anything's changed from from our last meeting in December with FEMA. It's at this point, if you were in a high-risk flood area, you wanted to do something on your property, you wanted to put a new building on it, or you wanted to raise it up, put another floor on it, or something like that. My understanding is the county will say that you need a biological report that says what you're doing won't impact any of the endangered species. It won't be a take of endangered species. And if a biological report says that the county will issue a building permit or a permit to do that, I believe. Now, the county is saying to everybody who they issue permits to that, look, we don't know what FEMA's going to do. And so you can do that. We're telling you can do that, but it doesn't mean that the rules won't change or that FEMA might, see
Refuse to insure
see
you.
it differently, so that's where that really the FEMA thing is. It's going to be wrapped up in court here quickly, I think.
Oh,
Wrangle it out in court and see what happens with it. But
so
that's
you don't think it's going to be a couple of years or anything like that? You think?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know, Nancy. I have no idea how long it's going to take. There's a new administration, and so, people have brought that up before. Maybe things will change. Maybe, I don't know. And so, it's good because I think folks can I think the other options would not allow you to do any of the things you might want to do in a floodplain area. And now you can. There's a little bit of a risk to it, even with the biological report, but you can proceed to do those things. There is a way to do that.
And is that only for the village area?
It's my understanding it's anywhere that's in the flood,
In the floodplain?
high risk floodplain area. Yeah. There's a lot of farms in Tillamook County. They're in those, and all kinds of areas. So that what did we talk about a lot at the CAC meeting? It wasn't really that. It was I can't remember. It's escaping me now. It might come back to me. It was just on Monday. I guess it was what we talked about. I'll just share it here. And it's in the papers there. It's the STR. They're going to raise the tax on STRs. And somehow we got onto that topic from 10% to 15%. And I think Sarah was there. We got on it because she talked about the cap. The Board of County Commissioners made some decisions about the caps in some communities. In Pacific City, for example, I think it's west of the river, there is no cap, or there's a neighborhood there where there is no cap on the STRs. And that's what the community wanted, and the Board of County Commissioners approved it. And so, we started talking about that. So, at any rate, that's one of the things that some communities are talking about is the transient lodging tax increasing, and that's gonna go up for a vote. I think the Board of County Commissioners is gonna make a decision on it in another week or two, and then they'll put it to the voters in May. So that's where that goes. All right, agenda for the February 8th general meeting, and here's Chris, where I know Chris emailed me with a question. And I think we can talk about that. There's two things I'd like to talk about in specific when we start talking about the agenda. But Chris, you had one that had to do with Squarespace and an expense related to Squarespace. Maybe you can just describe it.
Sure. So I received an email today notifying me that our Squarespace email campaign feature was coming up for renewal February 5th. And it was auto-renewed. Or it was set to auto-renew on February 5th for $120. That represents the annual subscription. Our checking account balance is $170, so that would eat up a majority of that. And what I question is, what is the value of that email subscription to us? And if it does have value to us, do we know how to use it? Because it was really something that Jeff initiated, and he used it for sending out email blasts to our members relating to upcoming meetings. And I think it did help stimulate some of the participants in those meetings. The last one that I received, I think, was on October 5th of 2024, and I believe that was initiated by Jeff. Last email that was sent through Squarespace. So I'll throw it back to you guys. Do you see value in it? And if so, um, do we have somebody on on the team that knows how to work it? And if the answer is yes, then I would be willing to donate the $120 subscription fee for the next year.
Chris, I think that we've been utilizing that. I think that's what we have to have in order to do the emails that we send out for periodic meeting notices to
Okay.
for general meetings, as well as just overall reminders that we send out to tell people, hey, there's a bylaws committee meeting you want to look into, and
Okay.
the community plan meetings. I think the way the plan is set up, it allows us to do. It's kind of weird the way Squarespace does it. It's essentially we get 5 emails per month for the number of members that we have. It's a combination of both how many emails you send and how many members. So it's kind of like if you had, I can't remember the exact way it would work out, but like if we had 5,000 members, we could only send 1 email a month. But considering what we have now, we're able to send a maximum of 5 a month. And so what we've been doing, actually, Candace Miller is on the on sort of our website task force, and she's been handling most of the calendar related and the email blast related stuff. So she's been putting out the emails. And you said you haven't seen one since October. I mean, they've been going out on a regular
Okay.
basis.
It's possible that I did receive someone subsequent. I did a search in my Gmail, and the most recent one that I see is October 5th, but I may have deleted some that came in more current than that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I haven't looked into is if we don't have that email campaign feature, do we have any emails that we can send out? And I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look it up and research it. It might limit us to 1, and it might limit us on how many we send out. So if we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 700, I can look it up, 700 members that are actually signed up, and it has a limit of 500, then I don't know how much we could do with it at that point. So it's probably a combination of those factors that both Jeff and I guess Biff before had recommended adding that feature onto the account. it's kind of unfortunate that Squarespace nickel and dimes is like that, but I think that's just the way it is.
Okay.
And then they also host the website too, right? So is the bill for the website for all of Squarespace, Chris, or is it for just the email blast?
It's just for the incremental email blast.
Mm,
Yeah, I think we incur 3 expenses. You have one for the email blast, one for the website, and one for the domain name.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I would also be happy to contribute. I'm getting the email blasts, but
Okay, good.
um,
Okay.
yeah, it is a
Yeah.
good question to maybe have people say, do you want to, I don't know if we could get people to respond to them or not, but
Well, I think it's kind of been the basis of how we get people to meetings. So it's kind of middle of winter, you know,
Yeah.
we're trying to stir the fire here a little bit, but
Yeah.
different times a year, I think it's the critical link to the, you know, membership.
Yeah.
And I would also be willing to chip in to keep that going so that uh, it's not attrition that we just said, well, maybe we don't need it or something. I think we do need it. And it's one of our strongest pieces because it's the biggest mailing list in the greater Nescoin area. I think it probably needs some rehab because it's been 5 years since we got those addresses and we have new people and we've lost probably some of those addresses kind of dead end. Uh, but we've been talking to Sarah a little bit about that to say, could you help us with the mailing so that we keep in touch with our constituency? And she's indicated through getting the addresses or different ways that they would help do that. So anyway, that's something I should probably talk to the task force about, that they be in touch with Sarah as to what the potential uh, updating of that and how to do that, how that would take place.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
I think it'd be really nice if we could get a annual registration of our members also, just where we have current information about their names, emails, how they're a member, their physical Nesquin property, and then whether they're renting or business or
Yeah.
or live there, or property owners or whatever, and their current email and phone and that kind of thing, just once a year. Or if somebody new comes in, it'd be nice to have that database.
Yeah, it would be.
Okay, well,
And I
that's
think the
good.
outreach task force was prepared to take that on if the communications one didn't want to.
Yeah.
Okay, that can come later. The more immediate matter is whether we move forward with it, and what I'm hearing is kind of an overwhelming positive um, um, impact of the email campaign. So I'll go ahead and let it auto renew,
Okay.
and then I'll go ahead and send a donation through PayPal or however we do it through the website to cover that.
So
I'll
So
do that too,
for another
Chris.
year.
is
Um,
it clear
I'll
how
let-
you do that on the website so that we can, Nancy and I could, if we want?
Yeah, there's a donate button that I believe takes you to our Nesquin PayPal account.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
easy.
Now PayPal does take a fee. It's just like 10% or something like that. So
hopefully
Okay.
not
just
that
just
much.
just so
I'll
you're
add,
aware.
I'll add to it.
All right.
Okay.
I
And
think,
I don't, did
yeah.
Sarah say anything at the meeting, Mark, about
No, no,
getting
no.
us our money?
No, we're not getting, I'm just going to tell
Oh,
you, we're not getting any
okay.
money. I
Oh,
just don't have any confidence with the kind of, um, with the kind of shortfall that they're talking about in the county that they're going to dole out money to us. I wish that we would, but I, we're in the pecking order of things. We're
okay.
pretty low
So
on
even
the.
the $300 they were talking about.
I
So,
just don't,
okay,
Nancy, I mean, I can
got
harass
it.
her about it, but the
Yeah.
powers that are above her are not gonna, I don't think
Okay.
allow her to do it. So,
Yes.
so
Okay.
so that's bad. I mean, we kind of laugh about it, but it's really bad that they're not going to do that. But I just don't think that they're gonna, I mean, I'll email her again, but in all the things she's doing it,
Well,
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's
between
not
the
a
three of us, we
sexy,
got the $300 matched
Yeah.
already.
I
Yeah.
think so.
yeah. It's not as sexy a subject as AV equipment, but it sure seems like it's an opportunity for grants.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I guess, that's remains to be, I guess the NCA will buy the other equipment and maybe we can get, we'll have to make a note. Maybe I'll make up a new pitch for speech
Communications
communications
equipment.
budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta let my
Okay.
dog out. Hold on. I mean,
Okay.
you don't have to hold on, but
Okay. So thanks, Chris. It looks like that's done. We'll donate. Go ahead and let it auto renew, and then we'll replenish the funds into the account. So thank you. Let's see.
I
Okay,
had a
back to the.
couple
Oh,
of
go ahead.
things for the general meeting that I'll just pass on. I think you heard some of it at our bylaws meeting, but Wyatt had earlier asked if he could present on the fire department, the volunteer fire department, and the need for volunteers for that. So I don't think it would take very long, but just something that talks
Okay.
about it a little bit. And then Tom Sipe would really appreciate being able to talk about CERT in the same way. Apparently the CERT program, are people familiar with CERT? The emergency preparedness program with volunteers is having real issues with finding
Okay.
leaders as well as participants. And so he would like to talk a little bit about it and how great it is, and
Okay.
try to get people. So I don't think either of those would take very long, but they were both asking to be heard, to be part of the agenda. And then Susan, when we get to nominations, she's got some input. And she's also been working with Guy on the monitoring task force for the policies and procedures to kind of get that fleshed out a little bit. But at some point, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be done at the February meeting, it might be
Okay.
worth talking to Guy about whether he would be willing to chair the task force, at least to get it off the ground and find people to be on it, which is distributing out all these things he's doing personally now to monitor things.
Mhm.
So she's fleshed out some of the stuff he had and is working with him on that. But I don't think we necessarily need to. That's not something where we need approval by the membership. But if we decided to appoint him and he says he's willing to do it, he could make a pitch at the February meeting for people to take on some of those tasks, or it could
Okay.
wait till the April meeting.
Um,
And then she was wondering if she couldn't be here today. Comcast or Charter is out anyway, pulling cable, so she doesn't have internet. But she was wondering if anyone had contacted either Gary or Mark about whether they'd be interested in joining her on the outreach task force.
Nobody's contacted me.
I haven't
Gary.
heard anything.
Okay.
So a couple of things. The agenda has to be published on Saturday. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at the agenda and I mean, there's the top items. I'm going back to the December meeting. So, we've got welcome conflict of interest, meeting minutes from our last meeting, notices from Tillamook County, which Gary generally does if there are any notices, treasurer's report from Chris. I'll do the executive board report. And then on the December meeting, we had an outreach update from Susan. And, one of the things that happens in February is that nominations are open for offices. And so, I don't know how, I mean, if I was reading the bylaws about this and I, as the chair, say that, well, the nominations, it's open now for nominations for the positions. And that day people can say they want to be, I mean, somebody could nominate. I'm not quite sure how that goes, but they could nominate themselves. They could say, I'd like to run, or somebody could say, I'd like so-and-so to run. And if they're there, they could confirm that they want to run for the position. But that happens on the February meeting. And then, you know, we talked about FEMA. I didn't plan to talk about FEMA at this meeting to folks. There's maybe, I mean, if we wanted to, we could. We talked about it at the December meeting, and there weren't a lot of people there. But you know, I don't know. What do people think? Should we do one more FEMA message and to folks that are there, or? Anybody have an
I'm trying to
opinion?
remember at the December meeting, they had already decided to go
Yeah,
to
yeah, they
court
had.
and take that
December
one.
1st was a decision, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anything else has happened since of any.
I, 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 I don't think there's anything that's happened. You know, what Sarah said was that before December 1st, I don't know, she had a number like there were maybe um, 70 building permit requests prior to December 1st. Since December 1st, there have been two. And so
Oh,
everybody got them in early, and you know, there's been two since that time. Um, so, um, but that's the only, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be a, you know, I guess we could leave it on there for a short FEMA update, you know, just a 2 or 3 minute FEMA
mhm.
update. Um, Guy always, you know, because he's involved in this, he always has something that he can add to that. So maybe we should leave it on there. We may have more folks coming to the February meeting because of the upcoming elections, and, you know, so maybe we'll leave that on there. Are everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then I've got community plan update, bylaws update, public comment, and adjourn. Now, I will add in there Wyatt for the volunteer fire and Tom Seep for the CERT program. So those will be
Mhm.
added to the agenda, but
That'd be great. They would appreciate that. And by
okay.
the way, I know it's Reed Steve, but he actually pronounces it Sipe.
Site, okay,
Yeah,
site,
yeah. Um, yeah, and on the nominations, the bylaws are weird on that. I think what we did, I also read that, and I think we kind of transferred what had been in the bylaws, but just moved them
yeah,
up a couple of months. I think what they kind of imply is that they're opening nominations, but the task force will continue working up until the election, and they need to publish a slate. And it's not really a slate. A list of interested
yeah,
parties, I guess, is
yeah,
really it.
yeah,
By 2 weeks beforehand, before the April meeting.
yeah.
So it's kind of nebulous, but you know, I probably shouldn't be saying this in any official capacity, but I hope both of you continue to run in your current positions, and you're doing a terrific job. And I know our entire committee feels like that too. So just a yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't plan to run for the position again. In fact, I'll be gone in April, the whole month of April. And I've talked to Alex. He's gonna run the April meeting. He's gonna, you know, I told him I try and attend some of these meetings, and so he's aware of that, and the executive board meeting. So Alex will, and we'll talk a lot before I leave. But I think just like you, Chris, you travel all over the world, so we're going to be in Spain and Portugal, which is, I think,
Oh,
8 hours ahead.
nice.
And the time,
Nice.
you know, maybe I could attend a meeting. I guess we'll see. I just don't know. Anyways, I don't know where we'll be and what we'll be doing, so makes it kind of hard. Um, so I think I've got the agenda here that I need to get, and I send it to Candace.
Mhm.
And Candace sends it out, and it'll be 14 days I guess one question I had for the treasurer's report, I think I believe, Chris, that that was in the budget, so we don't have to have any kind of an election regarding these funds, correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
It's already been approved.
yep, okay, so no vote or anything, okay. And I think that's, unless people have other questions or comments, I think that, I know it's a quick meeting today, but sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if there'd be time or not
mhm.
to have Guy talk about the monitoring task force, or
Oh, okay.
maybe, would you mind maybe reaching out to him and just
Uh-huh.
saying, I mean, do you think there'd be any objection to having him chair that task force? That we wouldn't have to have an election for that, like we do subcommittee chairs. It's just a task force. But
Uh-huh.
and maybe
Well,
we're asking for too many volunteers for too many things in one meeting. In one meeting, but
yeah, I'll send Guy, a message. I don't know if he, I mean, I don't know if he wants to do it or not. He's got all kinds of things going
right.
on. So, but I'll send him a message and we'll just, I don't know. I think I'll add monitoring task force to the agenda then, and then a few minutes for that. And then if Guy says, no, I don't want to do it, we'll just talk about it. That this is once again what we're looking for, and if
Mhm.
somebody's interested in it, so we'll leave it at that for them.
That sounds good, because I think what he's looking for is to offload all these things he's doing
Right,
personally, and so
right,
I think he sees
right,
it
right.
a positive thing about having the task force, because then he can kind of be training other people to take over,
Yeah.
spreading the
Um,
wealth.
yeah. Okay. Um, I'm looking at the agenda. I think that's it, for today. Public comment, nobody with public comment. So I think we're ready to adjourn unless anybody has something that's, for the good of the order or anything. No? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you, I think, next month. I don't know the date.
Oh, do we have a date?
I think we do. I put it on my calendar. I think it's uh is it the 26th is what I have, February 26th.
Okay, good.
At,
For the
at-
same time?
well, I have it at 7 p.m. Are we gonna, you want to keep it at 3:30? I'm
I
fine.
like this time, but I'm open to either.
Okay.
Yeah, 3:30 works better for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Which
let-
time? The 2:30 or 3:30?
3:30.
3:30 on the 26th.
Okay, I'm gonna be on a plane coming back
Oh.
from Mexico, but we'll just see if I land in time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so 3:30 on February 26th. And okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.